What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. So I'm here with my friend Pieter van Wyk, and so on paper, on LinkedIn, he's a global communication coach for non-native speakers. But really, I think he's like a revolutionary for human connection. Say with this specific, say with a concentration in language. So me, I went to school, business school. I got a concentration in English. Like Pieter is connecting, I mean, the world, but specifically connecting Brazilians to the English-speaking world. Like me and him, we met maybe almost a year ago now at this place here called the Arca Hub. It's a co-working / innovation space where a lot of amazing things are happening there. And Pieter, he's hosting a lot of events to bring native and non-native speakers together to collaborate and innovate. And just what I love so much about Pieter is he just has this like real authentic desire and drive to connect people. Like he's
Hello,
one of those
Ryan. Are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. Oh, we have a little internet connection here. Little
Great.
and like, but anyway, I'll get to it here. So Peter's just one of those guys that you meet. He's like one of those 1 in a million kinds of people that you meet, and when you talk to him, you just know that he's the real deal, and you just want to learn as much as you can about him and be his friend. So that's why we're here right now. Peter, how the hell are you? How's it going?
I'm great. It's Rio de Janeiro. It's winter, but I'm like, look here, and this for the folks out there. I mean, this is our winter. It's just like we're on the beach. We're in our, I don't know, swimming suit, and it's winter. It's amazing. It's like amazing weather, and it's winter. So yeah, couldn't be better. Loving it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it's like, here in Rio, you could, any weekend of the year, if there's sun, you can go out to the beach, and maybe it'll be 75, 80 degrees or whatever. But when there's sun and that, you can still, go out, and it's like every day of the year, you can go out in a t-shirt and it feels amazing, man. And there's like nothing better to me. I don't know if this isn't exactly winter terminology, but like walking by the beach and feeling that hot sun and then like the cool breeze from the ocean hitting you at the same time. It's like driving down the highway, like with the windows open and it's hot and you got like
the palm trees, lining up. Yeah, I have that scene.
Oh. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Anyways,
thank you for the introduction. So thank you so much, Ryan. And it was great meeting you last year, and I think we just kind of had that connection, had that synergy, and it's great, being here and talking with you on the podcast. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because really, one of my missions of being here in Brazil and in Rio is to understand people, understand culture. I'm here to understand, not just to live here and enjoy the beach and the food and the caipirinha and the samba and looking for my Brazilian wife. Like, I'm not just here to do that. I'm here to really, I want to understand.
I see.
You've got that covered. I'm working on it. You're helping me out, right? You're on the lookout for me.
Well, but all the points, I'm still working on some. So yeah, it's work in progress. It might take a few years to get through a few of those points. But I mean, while you're not getting those points, Jack, just enjoy the beach, just enjoy the weather. So it's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, be fine. Yeah. So main mission is like really understand culture and people, and it's different. You might think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm from, we're from, you could say, Western speaking English, English speaking countries. I know you're in Africa. You're in South Africa, or you're from South Africa. But being in the U.S. and going to Rio, I kind of thought, and I think a lot of people think. Sorry, we have kind of an internet lag, but I'm just going to keep going here. So, okay, first thing I want to ask you about, Pieter. So, just because, when we met, I learned that you teach English, and I said, "Oh, Pieter, he's an English teacher for Brazilians." But that I came to learn that is just a small part about what you do, and just reading into just your profile, you've got this idea of redefining education. So like what does that mean exactly for you? Like what's the big idea here?
Yeah. That's a great challenge. And I think there's a lot of these kind of challenges that we have today because people are kind of going into different avenues of work. and they have a hard time to define that to a more traditional market. So, I studied psycholinguistics, so I really went deep into the psychology of language learning and how your personality change. What is the, let's say, emotional ramifications when you learning a new language, when you are using a language that's not your, let's say, mother tongue. So I've studied those things, and I also have a lot of clinical experience with through the classes and through my my methodologies. And the reason why I'm really into that thing of connection is because the connection is not a grammar or a grammatical structure. It's not syntax. It's not vocab. Connection in its pure form, it's emotional. I mean, you can look at a person and you can have like a superficial conversation and talk about the weather, but it really becomes something different when it hits that deep space or that deep place inside of you, when you kind of just start to vent about some issue that makes you feel bad, when you start to smile and laugh, when that emotion starts to surface, that is when whatever you're having there, that's when it becomes significant. And that's when it hits memory. That's when it hits not just the frontal cortex, but that's when it reaches the midbrain and all the other parts, that is much more emotional and much more significant to our to our experience and connection with people.
Yeah. So what do you do then? Like when you're teaching people about language, what's kind of the missing thing maybe, or what's something that people like, what makes it easier for people to connect with others in another language? Like, what do you think is the biggest barrier to that most people don't think about?
Firstly, I would say that it's obviously, not having the self-knowledge, not knowing yourself. Okay. I believe that because we are so caught up in digital interaction and social media and trying to define ourselves in a digital environment, we've kind of lost touch with our interpersonal intrapersonal self. So people that has a very good self-knowledge, they usually fare better in getting another language going or getting confident. So it's really kind of, so what I do many times is like I really ask the person to see themselves in the mirror. Language is very, very deeply or very strongly rooted with your identity. We don't get it. I mean, you can take someone's house away and they'll be okay. You can take, even racial it's something extremely strong and something we talk about, but none of those items is as strong as taking someone's language away. If you discriminate, or if you force someone to speak another language, that goes much deeper than anything. So having that deep understanding of yourself and being willing to be vulnerable, I would say, is the greatest barrier. People, they try to stay cool all the time. They try to pose. They try to give the posture. They're like, no, I'm cool. You're like, no mistakes. This is me. We have a hard time to be authentic. So those are the kind of things.
Wow. Yeah. I never thought that deeply about how trying to speak another language. Yeah. How, if you take someone's language away, how that can change them. Like for me, I love speaking. I love writing. Like my strongest points have been my ability to communicate or even connect emotionally, connect with the written word. That's just what I've practiced more than anything. And then coming here to Rio, it's like my biggest strength. Well, at least the words of like my ability to express with the words, that when that was taken away, yeah, that makes it made it so difficult to connect with other people in a way that I could like explain what's going on in my head. But that actually just brought up a really interesting thing too, because my ability to connect like emotionally without words has always been really strong. So I've been able to be around people. And I think that's why I've been willing to move to another country and try to speak a language. But when I couldn't use the words, it's like, I'm sitting in a group of my family or friends, and I can't understand what's going on, and I can't say anything. And I know that, once you talk to someone just a little bit, like how much more connection happens. Like, or even if you're driving in a car and you got somebody who's like driving next to you and they look like they feel like they might be like, who is that person? Like, what are they doing? Like, they're kind of like scary. Maybe you think they're tailing you or whatever. And then you look over and it's like an old grandma and you're like, oh, and it's like same thing when you talk to somebody, like you see people, you're like in a room and you don't really know anyone. And then like Brazilians, you don't really know like how they act exactly. Sometimes it feels like maybe they're aloof and they don't care, but then you talk to someone and it's just like, instant, like able to talk and just cool. And then so once you can talk, something different happens. And that kind of got taken away. Just, I don't even know. I don't really even have a point to this, except I guess there's that emotional side and the language side and how,
This is the whole thing, Ryan. It's interesting that you say it, that you mentioned that. But the transmission box, if you can call it the transmission box between the two languages, it's different because you're coming from a high contextual, low contextual, or let's say a lower contextual culture, which is the US, where people mean what they say and they say what they mean. Okay, to a culture that is very high in context, where people do not say what they mean necessarily, and they do not always mean what they say. Now, these are different cultures. We know the Latino culture, those kind of things. So transmissioning between high contextual and low contextual, and what fills the gap between these contextual aspects is emotion. I mean, if you just mentioned, if you don't have words to say, then what do I do to fill that gap? I use obviously nonverbal. I use my body, I use my eye contact, I smile. And when you deal with someone that comes to you and be like, you're an English teacher, and you have to be like, yes, I'm an English teacher, and it's great being an English teacher, but I'm not here to teach you English. I'm here to make sure that you can create that connection in English. And I'm also here to remind you that connection will not be the same as your mother tongue. You will not connect with people the same way that you connect at home. That might be frustrating. That might be, but at the same time, it's very exciting because it's like you are coming up with a new angle of your own personality, something that you've never explored before. It's you, but it's something that you've never shown. And we ourselves, we ourselves as a fountain, a treasure box of just things that just we take a whole lifetime to discover. So we're 35 and we're like, I know everything about myself. No, you don't. you might know very little about yourself, because there's part of your personalities that might just come out in a high contextual environment, and you're like, and we close ourselves because we're like, I am low contextual. No, you are everything. We are a plethora of things. We have this. We've been through this mindset that you this, you that, stick to it. Where right now, when we're talking about education, is where we're a bunch of things, Ryan. We're not just one thing. Especially with AI and those kind of things, and especially with change being so rapid. That's not totally new, guys. I mean, we were hunters and gatherers, and we were changing biomes, environments. I mean, we all play games as hunters. We play TV games and video games with Minecraft, and I love to play Valheim. And you're in the survival thing, and that is adapting, that is surviving. I mean, we survive, and it's that survival instinct that you need to get to when someone's learning a language.
Man, this idea of the low contrast, high contrast, I never thought about that. But yeah, that's really, really interesting. That, yeah, like I've done a lot of like saying what I mean and trying to figure out the exact right words to say, because each word is a key, and each word can mean something. So a lot of times, I do a lot of sales, and when I think about not just like sales, but like talking to friends or talking to a girl or talking to a client, it's like I want to put my words in this certain way, because the way that I say it, the way that I arrange these words can mean so much. It can mean one thing or not another thing. And it's this very like kind of straight environment, and that's still, I guess, true everywhere. But then being this idea of being here in Brazil, this high contrast where you're not exactly saying what you mean, not exactly meaning what you say. And that's so I'm going to be able to like use that idea to really understand things more. But I mean, I love the way that I speak Portuguese. Like nothing feels better than when I know what I'm saying, and I'm like saying words with this kind of emphasis, like the kind of emphasis and way that I say things means so much. And it just gives so much this like goop, this like fluidity in between my words and my emotion that feels really, really amazing. And
yeah. Oh, it's. I mean, you've been in Brazil, Ryan. You've been in Brazil. You've been loving it. So you know that Brazilians love their vowels, especially here in Rio de Janeiro. They love their vowels. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in vowels, and we from low contextual countries, we sometimes have trouble with vowels because we were not taught to speak in vowels. It's weird, it's almost like you sound like a minion. But knowing how to communicate in vowels or having to communicate more in consonants makes a huge difference with the emotional interaction.
Yeah, and I remember this. The other thing that I want to say related to that is, you talked about, you said how you can never really have that same effect as you do in your mother tongue as in another one, and that the effect, but really just the lifestyle, like that really used to bother me. Like I moved here to Rio, and I wanted to act like a Brazilian. I wanted to walk Brazilian. I wanted to look Brazilian. I wanted to just like be able to lay on the beach and like relax like a Brazilian. Like I didn't even know how to do that. I didn't even understand like how to comfortably lay in the sand and just kind of and just like relax and hang out. And then I just realized just more and more that, and I didn't do that because I wanted to be somebody else. I did that because I just wanted to be a part of everything. I wanted to be able to connect with others. I thought that the only way I could really connect is if I acted like everyone else. But then then I've been realizing more and more that it's not about trying to act like the culture. It's more, what is it, Peter? It's like I need to it's just about being more me, but accepting who I am.
Ryan, it's not looking externally. It's not looking outside around you. It's looking inside, Ryan. It's not about if I want to fit in. It's about you listening to yourself, Ryan. Because I mean, if we keep on looking at people and we look at external signals and we misinterpret those signals, right? Because we don't know everything. So we might look at a behavior and think, oh, it means this, but it might not. It might mean this. So we get confused. But it's more about who am I? Okay. And that is in construction. And what do I want to do with this new way of expressing myself? How can I be a better person going through this process? All right. That is much more, that'll take you much more into a self-discovery, looking inward. And take away the cultural jargon. Okay. I know we have this thing, I need to fit in, and the culture's this and the culture's that. But you need to remember, even within cultures, you have anomalies, right? And we see that, right? I mean, you look at a Brazilian, and then you find that it's like, are you Brazilian? No, you don't look. And then you find you meet an anomaly. We have anomalies all around our cultures, cultural anomalies, that people that just they just don't fit in. They don't fit in, within our, prejudice or within our preconceived idea, but they do fit in because they are just themselves. And authenticism is much stronger than trying to fit in, because when you're confident, you can pretend, you can improvise, you can overcome a hurdle. Because if you keep on trying to fit in and fitting you're fitting in different contexts without really listening to yourself, that might put you into a blur where you're blurring your identity or you're blurring your personalities, and then you wake up the morning and you're like, what have I become? That kind of, the people singing that in many songs, like, I woke up in the morning and I looked myself in the mirror and I'm like, what have I become? What happened to me? I've been living that fake life. So yeah, I think looking inwards is perhaps the best, runway to launch from.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely makes a lot of sense. Can you tell me a little bit more? Like, I want to talk about what you're doing on like an organizational kind of level. What does your mission look like as far as how you're connecting Brazilians to like English speakers? Can you just tell me like why why are you doing that? What is like your mission as far as how you're trying to help people? What you're doing?
Okay. So right now I'm in the Rio de Janeiro ecosystem, and we're extremely excited about this next chapter in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is receiving some significant investments. It's kind of like, in some ways, trailblazing itself into a new period. It hasn't happened yet, but we see a lot of signs on the horizon. So the ecosystem in Rio de Janeiro is every day trying to organize itself better. And one of those key elements within Rio de Janeiro and being more relevant, and the ecosystem being prepared, is internationalization. And internationalization is not just on the institutional level. So that doesn't just refer to compliance, regulation, tax, import and export, those kind of stuff. It's also a mindset. It's also a perspective. It's also a way of being. We know that the Brazilian people have a lot to offer. And I believe that the world needs to know more about Brazil, the Brazilian culture, the Brazilian way of expressing themselves, Brazilian music. Brazilian culture is not just, based in Rio de Janeiro. It's not just the Christ Redeemer and all the touristical places. It's so much deeper, and there's a lot the world can learn and experience, and it's I think it's a blue ocean in many ways. There's so many opportunities in Brazil, specifically with Rio. We wanted to be the AI mecca of Latin America. We are having extensive, billions and billions of dollars being spending on the data center infrastructure in Rio de Janeiro as I speak. So there's a lot of investments, opening up. You have the stock market in Rio coming back next year. So these things are really a point of excitement and optimism. And what I do is, I want the ecosystem to be more relevant internationally. I want to work with that mindset. I want to work with individuals that are influential and other potential individuals that needs to be those key players in the future. Work with them, help them to be more relevant, help them to have the right mindset, making sure that they don't melt when they're in front of an investor or when they're in front of an important contact. Just being able to slide through, what we've just mentioned, that high-low contextual vias, and for Rio to not just be known as a place to go and experience the Copacabana beach and the caipirinha, but all in all, a place where you can do business and enjoy the beach at the same time, at the same place.
Yeah, man, there's something really powerful about Brazilian behavior, like interpersonal communication. Like, and on the one hand, I've always, said, and I'm going to say it all the time, I think, the world would be better off if everybody spent some time just around Brazilian people, just communicating with them. I don't know, the way that they talk to each other and whatever setting that is, like just seeing the way that people kind of are here, the way they talk to each other, the way like what happens when you talk to them, there's something really different. And there's this like ever pervading, there's like this pervasive, like quiet confidence in Brazilians. It's like it's like, I don't know if this man versus woman, not necessarily. It's like just everyone. There's just something. It's like there's like shame or fear. You know, I feel like everyone talks to each other in a way that's not like I'm better than you or any kind of like superiority. And I know that exists between classes too, but it's like still, it's like everyone talks to each other with this kind of, it seems the way that I've seen this kind of maybe mindset in one way is the idea that we're all in this together. Like we're all in this, and there is like in one form, there's a negative overtone of like, we're all in this shit together kind of in a way where no matter who you're talking to, it's that, hey,
some good shit.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Americans, when you go to say a grocery store or something, you know, there's in a service place, a restaurant, a grocery store, the waiter, you know, are very polite. It's like, hey, how's it going? How can I help you? Do you need anything? Because there's this maybe expectation of this service. But here, and then there's a separation in role. There's like, you're the role of the cashier, you're the role of the server, I'm the role of this. But when you go to like restaurants and places here, or even talking to police, it's more everyone's on this same level of communication, and that you're not going to go into a store and they're going to be like, hey, how are you? It's like you're going to have to get attention from someone. And even when they do, they're talking to you like you've known each other for a while. Like there's none of that expectation. So I've seen comments, say from foreigners, with like, I was in Rio, I was in Brazil, and like they're so rude. Like nobody was, you know, paying attention to me. But that's the thing that happens when you do talk to somebody. You realize it's not like that. It's just like, I'm just kind of here doing my thing. So, but anyway, there's that. And then I think just the important point of that was this whole confidence. So if Brazilians can take this kind of confidence of personality and yes, bring it into this business context, as you're saying more, that seems like that would be a good thing. So, but why doesn't that happen? So, yeah,
of course,
I don't know.
Yeah. One thing that I would like to,
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
One thing, Ryan, that I would like to add to this, and this is more scientific. Okay, this is when, you know, we kind of pull science into this equation. We know that innovation is, you know, it's definitely the you know, it's the essential necessity, or it's the base skill for industry and institution to be future ready. And if you don't innovate, you know, you just die. It won't happen. Innovation is an interesting term. Innovation does not just occur spontaneously. We know that innovation is just not something. I mean, you just cannot think that innovation will just, you know, whack you on the face when you wake up in the morning. It's not. Innovation doesn't work like it. You need to kind of spur it on. Scientifically, innovation is more present in places where there's a mixture of, or diversity. You know, the whole diversity speech is about innovation kind of happening. Innovation happens automatically when you're in a room with different people that, you know, they speak the same language, obviously. then it's just chaos. I mean, there's a line between chaos and innovation, but they speak the same language and they're different. They have different origins, but still they're together. Still they can cooperate, and that's when innovation happens. Is when diversity cooperates, innovation occurs naturally. And then Rio and Brazil is the most diverse country. I mean, you know that. And Rio is the most diverse city in Brazil. It's the most mixed city. So you have people from all kinds of colors and profiles. So there's this real exploration of innovation in Rio that can be explored. That's not maybe explored the way it should. I mean, Brazilians are extremely resourceful. You know, they have this MacGyver instinct. You know, just to, you know, when there's a problem, it's like, how do I solve this? And they do it through, you know, their MacGyver skills. So this is definitely something very relevant for business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And no, yeah. So there's there's lots of diversity in Rio, lots of different people, things happening. We have Sao Paulo. What about the rest of Brazil? I haven't been to much. I haven't been to many other places in Brazil. I've been to Sao Paulo for about 5 days, and I went up to Vila Velha and Espírito Santo, one state up. And I've been in the interior of the state of Rio a bit, like into Novo Friburgo, basically. But there's like lots of stuff out there. What do you think? What can we learn from there? Are you involved in things there? Or I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
I think I obviously don't have to touch on São Paulo. São Paulo is just this mecca, just financial powerhouse. So I mean, that's not Florianopolis, I would say, is third in line when it comes to innovation. Florianopolis is actually the startup ecosystem is actually even bigger than Rio de Janeiro, surprisingly. So Florianopolis is like in the south of Brazil. It's also a beach city, but what makes Florianopolis different than Rio is the fact that it mostly is German, Italian, descendants, and also obviously a lot of mixture. So obviously that puts in question this whole diversity thing that I just mentioned. There's so many different things happening. If I'm not mistaken, there's a technological park in the north of Brazil. Brazil also has a very active ecosystem in Belo Horizonte, in Minas Gerais. Also, a lot of great stuff coming from there. If I'm not mistaken, they have a unicorn in Belo Horizonte. So Brazil is vast. I think even the Amazon in Manaus, there's something happening with a new ecosystem initiative. So truly, the whole of Brazil is just pulsating. Something.
Yeah, but again, like for life, I keep coming back to this. I keep getting smaller. I keep making things smaller and smaller. My ecosystem, what I care about, what I want to do, the people I want to spend time with, the places I want to go. I told you, like when I first came here to Rio, my original plan was like, I want to travel the world. I want to go to every country in the world. I want to eat all the food. I want to see all the people. I want to do it. I want to live in a year this place, maybe 6 months here, 6 months there, do that. And then I came here to Rio. And after, the original plan was 1 year. And then after being here for 8 months, I was like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to move anywhere. I don't have this desire to need to go see other places or things. And even after a couple of years in, I almost moved to Salvador. And then I was like, well, I should, right? Like I need to go to another place to live in Salvador. It's a beautiful city, go to Bahia and experience that. And still maybe I will one day, but I, told a lot of my family, like, yeah, I'm going to move up to Salvador and I'm going to go there. But then I just asked myself, like, do I really want to go, or am I going because I feel like I'm supposed to, like I'm supposed to be a digital nomad kind of guy who's moving around, and because I need to know all of Brazil, because that, it's been to a mission, like, but it's like I'm here, so I should go around and see all of Brazil and learn everything. But it's also like, why? And like, yes, that's important. I can't wait. I want to travel all across the world too. I want to see other cities, and I want to see other cities here in Brazil and states, and of course, but it's like, I just love living here so much. And there's every street, I live in Copacabana. Every single street is something different. It's like a new neighborhood. There's new little stores you could just explore. When I was living on Miguel Lemos, 2 streets away, it's like I'm in a whole nother neighborhood, just 2 streets away here on Safahera than I was on Miguel Lemos. I'm a different part of the beach. I'm closer to Ipanema, and just being 2 blocks closer to Ipanema has opened up an entire new world, because now it's easier to walk there. So now I go there on the weekends. It's like,
yeah.
So all that, to say, yeah, I love being here, and I want to work here in Rio and do more things here.
Amazing. Well, it's. I mean, we were having a wonderful time. it's hard to tell people because there's such a negative media coverage about the city, which is so disappointing because they really leave out all these special experiences. Because you speak to someone on the ground, someone that's been here, and they just like, I love it. And you're like, how can you love it if the media coverage is so negative? If everyone says it's so bad, how can you speak to someone on the ground and they say that, I want to be here, I love it, it's just amazing? Like, what's up with that? Like, how do you explain that? How can the media coverage and the personal experiences of people on the ground be like so far and out? It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, man, I was watching an episode. It's one of my favorite people, and that I get a lot of inspiration from, even though he's dead now, is Anthony Bourdain. And watching him and his series of going to different cities and different countries and just talking with people, like being with people and eating their food. And I watched an episode last night of when he went to Iran, and it's like, this was maybe, I don't know how long ago, maybe it was 5 years ago or something, but he's there. And, obviously the US and Iran and, well, the whole world just had so much tension. And he was there and he's like, of all the countries I've been to, I've been received, people have been nicer to me here in Tehran, in the city, than any other place that I've like really been to. And so it's like, yeah, there's this media coverage, but when you actually go into a place, when you actually travel there, like, that's important to actually be in these places. The news is just sensationalism.
Exactly. Yeah. I had the privilege, Ryan, to, I've been to over 60 countries in my time here on Earth, and all of those experiences, they have not, or very seldomly, have they verified the pretext or the prejudgment that it was associated with. Very seldomly, like 10% would be already a very high number. Most of the time, 9 out of 10, it's completely a complete surprise, complete taking you back, and you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. Yeah, it's all over Middle East. I've been to the Red Sea and Jordan, and went to Aqaba, and went to the beautiful in Lebanon. We have the what do you call it, that one of the seven wonders, with the Indiana Jones. Completely forgot the name of it anyways, but it was, I just had this amazing experience with, they would just be so friendly. They would even cook for you with, just meeting you by name, just knowing you by name. They would invite you into their house and be like, here, taste this food, it's yours. It's like, I want to know you, sit down. Complete strangers. I've never had that.
It's amazing, man. Hey, man. Well, I know, we could talk forever, but I know I've got things to do and all that. But, I really want to hear, can you just tell me and us just like some of the things that you're doing here in Rio, like some of the events you're doing, how you're working with people, like what does kind of your vision for action look like over the next 5-10 years, say? But I'm sure everyone does, too.
All right. Well, it's hard to plan out 5 years in advance. Things that I'm kind of working with right now, as I've mentioned, is to be plugged into the ecosystem of Rio, for it to be more relevant in the innovative landscape. I'm currently working with a few players here in Rio de Janeiro. With innovation, that I'm at Arca Hub. There's also other players that is also very prominent. We have Maravelli, which is also a great place that is also linked up to the mathematical, the learning institution, IPMEC, which is extremely reputable around Latin America, probably one of the best mathematical institutions in the Americas. So it's just helping them to be closer and have that mindset. I also have an AI company, and with that, I'm building the AI agents for education. Helping teachers to be more AI ready, to not kind of get the jitters and be like, what is going to happen to me? I'm going to be replaced. And just show them that, with AI, actually the opposite will happen. You'll be actually a superhero, and you're teaching time, and you're teaching, what you're able to put on the table is so much better. So I'm also working with AI, building those, prompting different bots and agents, and everyone is probably doing the same thing, but specifically focused in education. That's another thing I'm doing. I'm also personally as an aspiration, I'm getting into stand-up comedy, which is kind of challenging, putting myself out there. And hopefully in 5 years, I don't know, maybe I'll have a better set. Maybe people will start actually laughing at me, laughing at my jokes in 5 years. Hopefully it won't take that long, but cannot be that optimistic. But yeah, I see myself in Rio, definitely. And I'm currently also working for companies in the US. So currently I also have a group of people in the US, residents in the US. We know that there is a portion of the population in the US that they don't have this confidence. They're not able to build this emotional connection. So yeah, working with them, working alongside to help them with that, using psychology and emotional tools. I think that's it. And yeah, I've also on the podcast landscape, as you know, so I'm also podcasting left, right, and center. And yeah, that's so hopefully
nice,
that would be even better. That's what I'm planning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love what you're focused so much on the mindset and the human connection part, and going in, understanding yourself like that. That's definitely the most important. Like for me, my ability to do everything has come from my belief system, the way that I think about myself, the way that I think about the world. That has been the base of my success, not the words that I say, though I've studied the words and studied how to say them and all that, but really the way that I convey everything. It's why I'm so good at doing things like lead generation. It's the reason why I'm so good at writing things that make people want to take action, is because I know that the tonality, like the way you should put the words together, and that's the most important thing. And as far as learning Portuguese, for me, I just downloaded this amazing app. It's called like Intersub, and I'm paying like $4 a month for it. And what it's doing is just when I watch a YouTube video, any YouTube video, it's got the subtitles in Portuguese and it's got English right below it. If I don't know something, I can highlight the phrase. And really, I think this is the best way for me to learn Portuguese. Just because conversation is the best way to practice. What I found, but it's like I need to learn the words, and studying vocabulary is difficult. I still have to study, but I've loved being able to watch. Like I watch, Porto dos Fundos, that channel on YouTube. I love it. It's like hilarious.
That's high contextual language, right there.
It's high contextual, but it's like now I'm finding these phrases and I'm cutting those out. And now for me, it seems like it makes a lot of sense that I can kind of study phrases, and then I can study the verbs and the tenses in between there.
Awesome.
So now I feel like I'm kind of hit a breakthrough in the way I should be learning, because now I just watching about 30 minutes in the morning of some episode and trying to go back to vocab. And then yesterday I was at networking at Arca, and I said something. I'm like, oh, gracias a Dios, I learned something. I'm using my vocab. This is amazing.
Well, how's this cursing, swearing, and slang going? How's that going instead?
Hey, good.
Check
out my shirt here. I showed you before, but got the shirt from my aunt, learning some slang.
Caraca, meu irmão. Já é caô.
That's a difficult one.
Caô.
Yeah. So learning some things, learning some stuff. It's much easier for me to speak than it is to listen. Really, like being in a room where everyone's speaking Portuguese is not the best way to learn, because it's like, of course it's good to hear, but then I miss one word, and then the whole thing's done, and then I have to.
Yeah, and that, when you have that meltdown, that system meltdown. I mean, that's why psychology is so important, Ryan, because psychology is the defense mechanism. It is not necessarily always the solution, but it's definitely, it defends you to make sure that you can rely on your head. Because what happens is that if our emotion changes. If we're nervous, your cognition changes. I mean, it's like from 80% it's 10%, and I mean, you don't want to use 10% cognition when you're speaking another language. I mean, you want to use 120% if you can. So emotion is just that verification system, just to make sure that you don't have a meltdown. Just make sure that when worst case scenario, when push comes to shove, you're able to still be in that moment and connect. And connection is not about how many words you can put in a sentence. It's not about the kind of words you use, but it's just looking the human in the eye. It's just that eye contact. It's just that microfacial expressions. That's just gestures. It's just smiling and being kind of like Mr. Bean, just being completely silly and using comedy. Comedy is an excellent way to deal with communication issues. I mean, if all goes to fail, if all else fails, just laugh at yourself and enjoy it. That's it. Just enjoy it. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, and what I also loved, another thing that you said. Sorry, I'll put this last point here and then wrap this up. But just this last point, I just remembered of I really liked about the way that you described Portuguese and how to learn. Is that you don't need to have all the words. You don't need to have like a perfect accent. That it's just communication, and you're just doing it however you can. Maybe it's a mix of English and Portuguese. Maybe you move to body language. Maybe it's just eye contact. Like that's the biggest thing I've learned from you the most. And I gave a LinkedIn workshop a couple weeks ago with me. I may be at like a 50% proficiency level over here, but I gave this workshop basically in full Portuguese. Like there happened to be this girl who spoke English. Yeah, so she helped me translate a couple things. But then I realized too, it's like I thought this was going to be near impossible, but I was actually able to get across what I needed to get across and do it in Portuguese. And as I was up there and as I had to speak and had to say these things, it worked out.
Isn't that a confidence booster, Ryan? Isn't that a huge confidence booster just to be able to say it? Be like, I've given a workshop in Portuguese and they understood me. That's like, wow. That's like,
yeah. Bro, I printed myself out a certificate. I printed out a certificate. I put it on my wall. I've given a presentation in Portuguese. I'm proud.
And even better if you can get clients, right? Even better if you can get clients using your Portuguese, and you were like, wow, I don't need perfect Portuguese to get clients, and that's great. And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, I believe that we're moving into a new era, and I need to just touch a little bit on AI. That AI is this big deal. But within the language sphere, we had all these institutions trying to galvanize a language. We have to preserve this language. We're going to lose this language, standardization, and we had a lot of issues with that. And we're moving a little bit away with it because we are a little bit more confident now, because we see that AI is also a great tool to preserve language and culture, right? It's something that we can go back on. If you standardize language on AI, we can kind of be like, okay, I don't need to focus so much on galvanizing this. I can just have fun. And I feel that is also where AI is pushing. I mean, there's a lot of stress and anxiety, people losing their jobs, and they're like, oh, what's going to happen with my future? But there's also another side of AI is, AI will enable us to focus on other aspects of our humanization, other aspects of being. And we don't need to try to keep it all together because AI can do that for us. And so, we should just, let our hair down and just, take it easy and just have our Havaianas plugged into on our feet and just, take it, just relax. And that's where the Carioca culture kind of like fits in. It's a beautiful culture to plug in with an AI, future AI. I don't want to get too, utopian or even dystopian, but when you have drones flying around and robots serving you caipirinhas, probably you'll just have a great time chatting with the person next to you, because there's nothing that can really bother you at that time, because AI is covering it all. That might be dangerous, of course. I mean,
no, you're killing my dreams. You're killing my dream to be one of those guys working at the Bahakas, on the beach. That's what I always thought. If I didn't have a job or whatever and just wanted to work and relax, and I was Brazilian, I'd get a job at the beach for sure. That'd be awesome.
Well, you still have some time. You still have a few years to get that ready and to get that out of your system. So,
yeah, I got a little time. I could take a year off. Find my way into a Bahaca. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, awesome talking to you, man. Awesome.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, be great. It was great talk, and yeah, here on AI. Yeah, we could keep going forever, but last thing I'll say about AI is that I was really against everything, and because it's taken over, because it's what I was best at. I'm best at writing and saying things, and don't want to sacrifice any quality, don't want to sacrifice me in any way. But I've just been doing so many things now with my writing and taking things from my transcripts with calls and compiling information that it's not like me and my nice weird way of doing it, but it's just so clear and so helpful, and I can create so much more content faster, that now I'm really realizing, it's not that we're trying to use AI I'm not trying to use AI to replace me. I'm just using AI and just it's not me. This isn't me, and that's okay. Oh my God, it's just like language, like Portuguese, and it's just it's just another language. I used to try to be Brazilian. I used to try to make AI just like me, but now I'm realizing it's its own thing, and it's okay that it's different. It is its own model, its own way of being, its own language, and that's just okay. And and it gives me opportunity to be a better speaker, presenter, or just do more. Wow.
And then serve caipirinhas to beachgoers on the beach. Right?
Yes. Yes. All right, man. Anything else you want to say? Anything else we missed out?
Yeah. This whole personality thing, Ryan. Our personality. We have this thing with personality disorder and schizophrenia and all of this kind of things. But you have different personalities and you have different versions of yourself. AI can be one of those versions. AI can be an extension of our consciousness. That doesn't clone us at all. That doesn't mean that, this is me. I mean, you are different things in different ways. I mean, you're different when you're on the beach sipping your caipirinha, you're one person. And when you hear podcasting, you're another person. So we're trying to define things, and I mean, we don't have to define things. Just go with the flow, and that's what's great from Brazilians. I know you have your Portuguese, great, maybe a little bit broken personality that is in the making. You have your great English, marketing guru personality going. You have your, serving caipirinha personality also going for the future. So we're different personalities. And you really realize that when you study psycholinguistics, when you study psychology and language, you really realize that people are truly different in different languages in different places, and it's okay. That doesn't mean that now we have to go into an existential crisis and be like, "Who am I?" and look ourselves in the mirror and break out in tears. It's okay. We are different, and we don't have to be consistent. And that's what makes us human. Is that inconsistency? That's exactly what makes us human. And that is probably what we're going to have to hold on to for the future. I am not just that.
Man,
that's powerful.
You just broke a lot of life coaches' hearts right there. They're all trying to say, you just got to be you. Find that one real authentic you. But man, no, there is no one real authentic you. And that's what it means to be authentic, to accept that you have different personalities at different times.
Beautiful. Authenticity is exactly against the mono option. If there's one option, it's not being authentic. You're being fake.
Yeah. Shit, man. That's good stuff. Man. All right, bro. We'll continue for part two another time.
I'm stoked.
That was good for now. Thanks, Pete.
Can't
Appreciate
wait.
you, bro.
gonna get my caipirinha right now. You got my mouth watering.
Me too. Let's go. I'm done for the day. I'm packing up. I'm heading to my Bajaca. I'm gonna go get a caipirinha. That's it.
I'm gonna join you there. Just give me the address.
All right.
See you, bro.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.